On the 18th of August, when Google listed on the NASDAQ, it made international headlines because of its phenomenal growth to a value of $30 billion. This company doesn't sell anything physical, but 80% of web users are clued up enough to use Google when they need to do a search.
It was quite weird when Google started out. It just appeared on the scene because there were a number of search engines around, and it was basically they sort of suddenly said, okay, we are now the search engine.
According to Wikipedia, the raw computing power harnessed by Google makes it the most powerful supercomputer known to humankind. Running at speeds in the region of 300 teraflops, Google's grid computer runs 3 times faster than the Earth simulator.
The thing about the speed part is traditionally what you do is take a very large computer and you would load the information into the computer and do a search on it and then give the results to people. The problem with that is that if lots of people come along and hit your site, generally you've got to start adding a hell of a lot of these very big computers in order to do the job. And very big computers come at large price tags. So where they started to innovate was to get high performance out of very low powered machines.
Google started out in 1996 as a university research project. 2 PhD students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, worked out that a search engine based on a mathematical analysis of the relationships between websites would produce better results than other search engines on the web at the time.
The essential ingredient in the Google ranking system is to observe that pages that have got lots of links going to them are more likely to be relevant and interesting than pages that have few links going to them. This was their insight and the basis of their first ranking algorithm.
Google is now estimated to have more than 60,000 linked computers.
The main thing that they need lots of computers for is the processing tasks that are involved in keeping the Google database of web pages up to date.
The technology behind Google's search algorithm is a closely guarded secret.
If you're someone who's trying to make your website or your company's website appear higher up in the Google rankings, then if you know exactly how Google's doing that ranking, you can tweak your website in special ways so that it comes higher up the rankings.
One thing we do know about Google is how it finds things on the web.
You wouldn't think that the World Wide Web employs spiders to help you, but they're not as hairy and scary as this one.
Google's server farm has more than 60,000 Linux computers all running spiders called Googlebots. When the spider finds a page, it collects the data on that page and sends it back home to Google, where it's stored in a vast cache that pretty much replicates the internet on their machines.
This keeps the Google database up to date, so when you do a search, the whole of the web has been crawled for you.
Back at the end of the 90s, what made Google stand out from all the other search engines was how good it was at ranking the result pages according to their relevance. So, for example, if you type Johannesburg into Google these days, there are something like 3 million pages that Google thinks are kind of related to Johannesburg. But the top 10 that you get are, on the whole, very relevant.
In total, there are around 9.5 billion web pages, images, and Usenet messages in the Google Index, and this figure is growing every day. Listed now as one of the biggest technology companies on America's NASDAQ stock exchange, Google makes a large portion of its money through highly targeted advertising.
If you hit the Google website with a query, what it'll do is effectively 2 searches. The one is a search that you're looking for. The second query is to search for advertising that it might be of relevance to you. Basically those two together, the one's effectively financing the other one.
But given the sheer size of Google's computer needs, it simply wouldn't be able to exist without open source software.
If you've got an enormous amount of machines, the software, the building blocks on all of those machines is going to add up to an enormous amount of money. Google wouldn't really be possible without open source software.
With a mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful, Google remains first prize for 80% of people searching for anything.